Welcome back. Well, it looks like a drier and hotter forecast for Acadiana as we finish the rest of the week and head into the weekend. The beyond the weekend and going into next week, some changes for the latter part of next week, likely in that 10-day forecast, and we'll explain why coming up in just a little bit. First off, though, let's look at this nice ridge of high pressure that's moving in, bringing in drier air, allowing for a few pop-up showers and thunder showers, mostly light showers across the area today. It was about a 10% type of day, and we expect more of the same as we head into tomorrow and the weekend, looking dry as well. As we look at the regional picture, not a whole lot going on, some ground clutter, but generally fair to partly cloudy skies across the area. And as we get into the tropics, relatively quiet. The remnant system and that upper level low with all the tropical moisture now moving out into the open Atlantic. But the area that we're going to be interested in is going to be the western and northwestern Caribbean as we move forward for the rest of the week and into the weekend. We'll be watching this area down here. Maybe this is the beginning of storminess that's beginning to develop north of Panama, east of Nicaragua. This will be the zone that will slowly slide to the west-northwest with time, and it's too early to tell. And the tropical model, I'm going to show you a couple of models. Those models are very, very full of question marks because we don't know where our system is going to develop quite yet, but we do think it's going to head for the Gulf of Mexico, and yes, it has hurricane potential and maybe major hurricane potential. We'll see. In the near term, though, we're watching the remnants of Gordon out here in the open Atlantic and could redevelop once again. Chance of that at about 50-50. Meanwhile, this is the area we're interested in. And new tonight at 10, the National Hurricane Center now increasing the odds to 30% where an area of low pressure could form. Could be this system forming somewhere maybe here by Honduras and then heading perhaps for the central Gulf of Mexico. So how is it going to play out? Well, let's take a look first off at the European model. Both of these models pretty much on par with each other. Notice how that moisture begins to pool here in the northwestern Caribbean. This is going into early next week. This is 6 days down the road. So we're not going to go much further than 8 days because even 8 is actually pushing it. But notice as we get into that 7 to 8 day time frame, the European model has a large swath of tropical moisture in the western Gulf of Mexico, central Gulf of Mexico. The GFS was farther to the east earlier, but the latest run has kind of changed its tune and going a little bit more for the central Gulf of Mexico as well. We see the same moisture building coming through the Yucatan Channel and then perhaps an intense hurricane developing in the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll watch this very, very closely. Do not pay attention to landfall or where people are posting on social media where it's going to Louisiana or Florida or anything like that. Way too early to call, but we're going to have to be on the lookout for a system late next week and then possibly making landfall by the following weekend. But it's too far out for us to say anything more than that. Go about your business, and we'll just watch it in the days ahead and keep you updated throughout the weekend into next week. Water temperatures have recovered from Francine, mid to upper 80s across most of the Gulf of Mexico, and those water temperatures are even hotter in the Caribbean. So this is a ripe zone for tropical activity. In fact, if you look at the heat content in the Caribbean this year, here we are September 17th, beating last year's record, and here's the average over the last 10 years. So the Caribbean water temperatures are way, way above normal. That's a lot of heat content for a tropical system, and if one develops, it's not going to be like Francine where it's going to have dry air surrounding it. It's going to have a juicy atmosphere, so that's why it's not only got hurricane potential, but maybe strong hurricane potential, and we'll be watching. Again, this is the area that we're talking about, these water temperatures at record levels, and it's the depth of that water. Oceanic heat content's not just the temperature of the water up top, but as you go 500-800 feet down. So that's why we're concerned with the next possible tropical system developing. But in the near term, high pressure dominating, low to mid 90s for tomorrow, much the same as we head into Friday, and we see little change going into the weekend. An overall dry and pretty hot pattern. Temperatures running about 5 degrees above normal and maybe a little bit more than that for overnight lows. 76 tonight, so it's a warm and humid September night for sure. Nearly that full harvest moon out there. And then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, hot and humid day. Heat index pushing the low 100s. Slim rain chances. Might see a couple of clouds with dark bases producing a few passing sprinkles. But rain chance tomorrow, enough to wet the ground at 10%. And it's less than that Friday into the weekend. Those daytime highs, mid-90s through early next week. And then toward the end of next week, we're kind of in the no man's land. We'll say possibly watching the Gulf. And the forecast could change for the better or possibly for the worse. We'll have more on that in the days to come. That's it for weather for now. We'll have more a little bit later on.